It has to do with the visiting European Commission President, Ursula von der Leyen, who's here with a large delegation of almost all the European commissioners, as well as a large trade delegation. India and the European Union have been trying for a number of years now to try and wrap up a free trade agreement. I think they've had 9 rounds of talks. There's going to be one more round early March. The immediacy now is given the threat of the Trump tariffs. Trump is dangling this whole tariff threat starting 2nd of April. There's going to be 25% tariffs across and reciprocal tariffs across all major trading partners of the United States. Both the European Union and India are big trading partners with the United States. Therefore, can India and the EU finally wrap it up and get an FTA signed? That's going to be one of the major issues that will be talked about. And of course, all of this comes in the back of the ongoing negotiations to try and end the Ukraine war. Europe is facing a critical moment. The transatlantic NATO alliance is under severe strain, and this shift has significant implications for the global order, including India's role in it. Donald Trump's presidency in the United States has marked a turning point for NATO. His skepticism towards the alliance has raised questions about America's commitment when it comes to Europe's security. This uncertainty has prompted European leaders to rethink collective European defense strategy. Trump's constant needling of Europe has led to calls for greater European self-reliance when it comes to collective European defense. French President Emmanuel Macron has even suggested forming a European army. The new German Chancellor Friedrich Merz says his top priority after getting elected will be true independence from America. This reflects a collective European desire to reduce its dependence on American military and security support. In response to these challenges, Europe is exploring stronger ties with India. As the world's largest democracy and a rapidly growing economy, India offers both strategic and economic benefits. A closer relationship could enhance European security and could also provide a counterbalance against aggressive actions by both Russia and China. That's why the European Commission President, Ursula von der Leyen, is in India this week, where she will be meeting with India's Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, as well as other senior government officials. The partnership between the European Union and India could bolster European security through both geopolitical strategic balancing as well as economic collaboration. Both Europe and India support a rules-based international order which would facilitate cooperation on global security matters. A strengthened EU-India relationship could reshape global security frameworks. It might encourage alliances that are based on shared democratic values rather than just close geographic proximity. Enhanced trade relations could also disrupt existing economic dependencies, fostering a more multipolar economic landscape. India's growing influence could challenge traditional power structures, a case in point being the Ukraine war. To play a mediatory role in the Russia-Ukraine war, India can leverage its unique position as a country which has strong diplomatic ties to both Russia and Ukraine. Prime Minister Modi's close relationships with both Presidents Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine provide a foundation for this dialogue. He can use these connections to facilitate communication between the two leaders, even encouraging them to take part in peace talks. India has maintained a neutral stance in the Ukraine conflict, which is crucial for mediation. This neutrality has allowed India to be seen as an impartial facilitator, enhancing its credibility as a mediator. India has a history of mediating international conflicts, like for example in 1953 in the Korean War armistice negotiations, and also India drew up the Colombo Plan in the whole conflict that happened between the Sri Lankan government and the LTTE. Drawing on this experience can help India navigate the complexities of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. By taking a lead in mediation efforts, India reinforces its position as a leader of the global South. And that can encourage other countries to support India's initiative when it comes to conflict resolution. India could host diplomatic meetings or summits where both Russian and Ukrainian officials can engage in direct talks. That could help build trust. India could continue to advocate for a peaceful resolution through international institutions like the United Nations. Remember, in the multiple votes that have happened at the UNSC or the UNGA, India has neither voted against Russia nor has it alienated Ukraine. This approach aligns with India's commitment to a rules-based international order. India could also explore offering economic incentives or support a peaceful resolution. This might include humanitarian assistance as well as economic cooperation agreements that benefit both parties. But that is not the only area. Donald Trump, with his threat of reciprocal tariffs, is upending traditional global trading relationships. This is where India and Europe can closely align further. In 2022, the European Union imported goods worth approximately $70 billion from India, with key imports including electrical equipment, organic chemicals, and mineral fuels. Indian exports to Europe reached a high of over $35 billion in the financial year ending March 2023. In fact, major Indian exports included electrical and electronic equipment, chemicals, and iron and steel products. The EU is a significant market for Indian exports, accounting for about 15% of India's total exports both in 2021 and 2022. Both India and Europe can benefit from expanding trade in sectors like green technology, renewable energy, and advanced manufacturing. And of course, there is all this talk about artificial intelligence. In fact, recently, Prime Minister Modi was in Paris, where he was the co-chair of the Global AI Summit. The EU's interest in India's growing market and strategic location in the Indo-Pacific presents opportunities for increased cooperation, particularly to counter a hegemonic China. Negotiations for a free trade agreement between EU and India have been ongoing, and they have faced serious challenges, including disagreements over EU's carbon border adjustment mechanism and deforestation provisions. India recently concluded an agreement with the European Free Trade Association, or EFTA, which could provide a model for future EU negotiations. The successful conclusion of the India-EFTA deal sends a positive signal to both parties that are involved in the EU-India FTA negotiations. It demonstrates India's ability to engage in complex trade negotiations and reach mutually beneficial agreements. The agreement provides India with enhanced market access to Europe through EFTA countries, which could serve as a stepping stone for broader EU market access. Donald Trump's skepticism towards NATO and his protectionist trade policies have inadvertently encouraged other major trading blocs like India and Europe to strengthen their economic ties. This shift is driven by a desire for stability and a diversified trade relationship in what is an increasingly uncertain global environment. By pursuing FTAs with multiple partners, both India and Europe can reduce their dependence on any single market, thereby enhancing their economic resilience. This strategy aligns with the broader trend of countries seeking to diversify trade relationships in response to geopolitical uncertainties that have been unleashed by Trump's threat of reciprocal tariffs. From a China plus one strategy a few years ago, countries may now be forced to look at an America minus one strategy.